Hello, Allentown community. How are you? It's Chief Roca coming to you from the Allentown Police Department studio podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope that you had a nice, relaxing Memorial Day this weekend. I just want to say first and foremost that we have to honor and remember our veterans that have paid the ultimate sacrifice. So thank you to the veterans for those families that have experienced a loss. We absolutely will remember the sacrifice made by your significant other during this time. I want to say thank you for everybody for tuning in today. One of the things that I like to do is stay transparent with our community, and it's important that we do that because that's how we share information, and we want to be sure that our community understands that there's ways to reach out to us, not only through our communication center, but by email and other ways. One of the things that we celebrated this month in May, too, was National Police Week. And I want to say, share our condolences from the Allentown Police Department for the officers that have passed this year. It's never something that an officer wants to go through, but it's something that when it happens, we have a community that supports our officers and makes sure that their families are okay, because it's something that's traumatic, not just for the officer or their family, but for our society. When somebody chooses to strike against our police officers in uniform with badge, it's something that just speaks to some of the vitriol, some of the hate that's out there. We want to do our part to make sure that we're connecting with our community, that we're talking about building relationships and what that means. And this podcast serves kind of that purpose in some ways. We can't always meet at the same time, same place, but we can talk, we can kind of communicate, and we can build those relationships. And everybody that attended the ceremony, thank you for being there. Thank you for supporting our officers. We had a very compelling speech. Our keynote speaker, Eric Gartner from the U.S. Marshal Service, thank you, sir, for being there. Someone that gave of his time. He was very well spoken. He talked to our officers, delivered a message of strength, a message of communication, and something that kind of empowers our leaders. And you don't have to be on the department for a long time to know that your effort counts. So to the men and women that work in the Allentown Police Department, thank you. For those officers that serve their respective communities, thank you. We appreciate you showing up each and every day. Yesterday we were celebrating Memorial Day, doing the picnic thing. We have to remember our officers, our first responders that were working, also our military persons that any branch out there. Thank you for the work that you do. Our prayers are with you. We will continue to support you. Our community is one that supports our officers. I want to take a little minute to thank our President's Crime Watch Council for holding a special luncheon of appreciation for us over at the fairgrounds. It was truly amazing. It touched a lot of people's hearts. I was very impressed by seeing some of the great cards that were done by students in the community there, and it was truly heartwarming. And I think that it's great that our people, that there are people out there that support the police department and that support working together. That's always going to be my message. We're always going to hear about unity. And I want to thank our officers for the great work that they did over the year that were recognized at the commendation ceremony. Our officers do a lot of good things each and every day, and sometimes they're not highlighted enough. But I want to make sure that our community knows that they're out there, they're working, and it's something that we are not going to stop doing. As we're building our police department, we're going to do that. And with that, I want to segue into that we are actively hiring. So if you are interested in becoming a police officer or want to change in career, you want to say, I think I'll take that challenge. I want to say, hey, come to a joinallentownpd.com website. All our information is there, disqualifiers or otherwise, and it's something that you can fill out. And as you can see the flyer there, it has some of the benefits. Now, mind you, what you put into your career is what you're going to get out of it. One of the things in policing, and that's true in service-oriented professions, is that you only get out of it what you put into it. And often this becomes part of a person's demeanor and how they are, and it's something that we want to encourage folks who want to give back to their community to come be a police officer. It takes time to get there because we have a very stringent hiring process, and there's also very strong requirements that you have to meet on each certain level. And it's important that if you want to take that challenge, the first step is filling out that application, showing up to the agility test, and if you pass that, you'll be invited to the written test, and then you go forward from there. So please step up to the challenge. So far we've had good response, good turnout for that, and I want to thank those who are testing. That's going to be the July test that's coming up, and so we're going to be making sure that the stringent hiring background process that we do continues, because we're not going to drop our standards, but we are going to encourage folks to step up to the challenge and please sign up, because we want to make sure our community members are here and they're testing, and they have the opportunity, especially those who live in the city of Allentown or live in close to the area, college students that are out there. This is a very good profession. I went to college, I graduated, and this is the focus that we had, and many of my fellow coworkers here as well. My colleagues, some very, very smart individuals, and we want to have that impact, and that's what you get out of it. It's something that it takes time to get the right person, but it's about building those community relationships. And with our crime stats, I want to talk a little bit about what happened so far. Violent crime overall in April was down 7.56%. We have 7,559 proactive calls or patrols year to date, and that's essentially your subject stops, business patrols, walking patrols, those type of things, where we're out there in the community, we're engaging. And we have 104 firearms seized or recovered so far. Ladies and gentlemen, it's about removing those guns that are going to harm our community, but also it's about the people that are choosing to engage in that violence. Any violence anywhere is unacceptable, right? And as police officers, we're empowered, at times to use force, but we do so professionally and with account to a person's constitutional rights. And it's key and important that we know that those dangerous guns that are out there are not harming our officers or anybody in the community. So if you see something that's going on, please don't hesitate to reach out, because that's how we fight crime together. As you see, 27,219 calls for service this year to date, and that means our officers are out there responding to a myriad of calls. And something that I want to say too is that it's not just about responding to calls and going from call to call, but it's also about making sure that if you talk to an officer, you see them on the street, pass on some information. That's how we build that relationship, so that you get to know the regular officers in your particular patrol district as well. Because if you didn't know, we break down our crime, our areas by police service areas. And we have 4. So PSA 4 is the center city area, PSA 1 is the east side, PSA 2 is the west end, and PSA 3 is the south side. So one of those things that we want to do is make sure that we can communicate to you in your respective PSAs, but also to bring up those issues, because I've heard certain things that sometimes the city doesn't represent the interests of the east side or south side or wherever. But I'll tell you, my effort is to make sure that we're representing the entirety of the city. We released a flyer over the weekend before Memorial Day holiday about noise ordinance and the violations and improving the quality of life. And we're going to continue to do that. We had issued 51 disruptive conduct report notifications. And so that is substantial in the fact that people are choosing to play loud music, be obnoxious and loud in different areas. And we want to bring a tone of civility back to our neighborhoods. But it doesn't just happen from enforcement. It happens with changing hearts and minds. And we want to make sure that you as a community understand that we're in partnership for this. And we're going to hold the people accountable. What a DCR is it's a notification to the landlord that an individual was either given a citation or a sweep ticket because the music or whatever the violation was too loud, and it violated our city noise ordinance. And anybody can go to our website, the Allentown E-Code, go look under I believe it's 400, look on that section. It has all the noise ordinance there and all the specifications. If it crosses real property boundaries, you can hear it. I will submit to you that if an officer's driving up to a location and they hear the violation, that they will be ticketing or giving a sweep ticket. And also, if they're a renter, if you rent in the city of Allentown and you violate the noise ordinance and you get a sweep ticket citation, you can also be issued what's called a disruptive conduct report. That's not a penalty in itself. It's a notification to the landlord, your landlord, saying that you were violating the noise ordinance. And if you receive a certain amount, the landlord can move to evict you. So I would recommend that if you get one of those violations or you get spoken to by an officer, please heed their message, because we are going to do something that's going to be holding people accountable. This is not a location where you're just going to play music all throughout the time or make it super loud where it disturbs a person who's trying to work. Remember, our world is 24/7. Sometimes people sleep during the day. We have to be cognizant of that. Even though we might be responding to different things and have we're happy because things are happening or it's our personal weekend, it might not be the weekend for that person. Or you have to think of the young mother who has kids and maybe she's just sitting down to capture her breath because her kid is sleeping, resting, and now there's a disturbing bass reverberating through the walls. We have to be cognizant about our people. We have to make sure that we're a good neighbor. No longer of the excuse of, oh, well, this is just how I am. No, that's not acceptable. We have laws and ordinances here in the city of Allentown, and you are going to see enforcement of those laws and ordinances. Not to make people into we're not going to fleece the community with fines and things like that, but we are going to hold people accountable. So I would hope that message there is something that we can kind of understand and talk through, so that as we're doing our enforcement action, you're also learning. Remember, three-pronged approach that I talked about: education, enforcement, and changing hearts and minds. And that coming together will improve our neighborhoods. And throughout that, I want to thank our patrol units. I want to thank our criminal investigations division, our community outreach unit, for all the work that they've been doing. We've been conducting some very good apprehensions. Some people are choosing to commit some crimes. We had a recent incident where an individual was shooting off some rounds in the Center City area. That's unacceptable. Something like that is not safe for our community. We want to have safe neighborhoods, regardless of what your zip code is. We want you to be, peaceful, at peace, and having that ability to communicate any issue that might be happening. And it's not done just by the fact of a police presence in the area. It's also done with communication by our residents to let us know exactly what you're seeing. Many of our officers work the same area, the same time, to be able to interact, grow that relationship, so that you can have that trust in being able to do that. The caller, our communication center, and letting them know what's going on. And sometimes it's frustrating, because when you call the communication center, that's kind of like the most important thing that's going on at the time, right? And it might be frustrating when you get the dispatcher on the phone and they're asking you a series of questions, but that's done for a couple of reasons. So just work to answer the questions. If you're concerned about being anonymous or things like that, we have an excellent program called the Checkmate program, and you can inquire on that through our community outreach unit. You fill out a card, and rather than using your personal identifying information, you become a number, and that number, such as Checkmate 1234, you'll use that as an identifier to the communication center. They'll dispatch that on the MDT, and we'll be able to see, okay, this is what's going on. And if we need to, we can find out your Checkmate number, and we'll talk to you personally. But apart from just knocking on your door and saying, hey, what's going on? Because I know some people have expressed, you know what, I'm kind of concerned with some retaliation. And I hear you, but that's why we have the Checkmate program. The other way to send some messaging, if it's a long-term thing that's happening, please use our tip 411 as well. You can submit something anonymously there, and that is how we kind of get at it. Because our department, we want to be able to act right away. So I would ask, in the preference of order, if you see something happening, call our communication center, let them know. If it's something that is ongoing, that's an issue, or you want to provide some video to us, especially if it's a DCR type, if you can record that video, we'll take a look and possibly be able to also issue a DCR. I know before I've said that a police officer has to witness it, but if we're talking about a problem location that's ongoing, and it's the scenario where an officer comes up and uses their discretion and says, turn it down, and when the officer drives away and they just kind of turn it back up again, that's something that's very frustrating, not only for our residents in their community, but also for the police officer, because we're going to have to come back. But my initiative now is that discretion piece isn't there. If we hear a violation, if something's going on, you're going to be held accountable. So this is just fair warning to let you know, please make sure that you're complying with the ordinance. If you don't know what they are, refer to our E-code. It's chapter 400 from my understanding, and take a look at it, read it thoroughly. Our officers are going to be looking at that. Like I said, we took action this Memorial Day weekend, and it's going to go throughout the city. It's not going to happen overnight, but we're going to make Allentown a huge improvement with reference to the quality of life issues, noise, dirt bikes, people gathering, unruly crowds, those type of things, because we want to make sure that accountability is known here in the city, and that has to do not only with just policing, but with our community, and we want to make sure that we're together on those things. And over the course of time, our detectives have been working extremely hard solving crime, putting people in jail that have committed heinous acts, and we're going to continue to do that. Our detective unit is second to none. They're solving crime. Their homicide clearance rate is above 70%, which is phenomenal, and it's something that we want to take even higher. I'm sure you recently caught a flyer that was also put out on our Facebook page with our cold case unit. There are some cases that are several years old, and we still are working on them, because when you impact our community, When a crime such as homicide occurs, that doesn't go away. We don't just file that somewhere and say, okay, we're not going to worry about that. We're going to continue to seek justice for the families, to hold somebody accountable for that. And it's going to come with the hard work done by our detective division, by our patrol officers on the street, and also from our community. And that's where my message is. If you see something, say something. If you know something, say something. Because every one of us has family members, and we want to make sure that you know how to reach us. So thank you for those that are, reaching out, giving us information. We absolutely appreciate that, and that's something that's huge. And our Vice unit has been extremely busy as they've been responding to citizen neighborhood complaints, conducting search warrants, holding people accountable, and making sure that those individuals, kind of answer for what they're doing in poisoning the community. We're not going to stand for that. We're going to make sure that they're held accountable and that they're brought to justice as well. Community engagement piece. Well, we've been hiring, right? I've been talking about that. We've been making a big push. On April 5th, we were at several hiring recruiting events. We put the flyer out for that, and make sure that if you want a career change, don't think that you can't do it. It only takes that first step, and I would be honored and privileged to have good people join our department and make it that much better, because the more officers we have, we'll be able to engage in more opportunities. And, one of the things that I want to say to you as well is that, our community is so involved, and it's not just the police department. We're not just holding events, but, on April 10th, the Lehigh Valley Legends All-Star Game, the huge contributor to our community. Some folks that absolutely approve of our young people making inroads, making those friendships, and that's just telling. It's heartwarming to see that happen, because we want to be sure that our community knows that we're out there. You can see a photo there of Coach Newsom, Officer Newsom, who also is a coach. So he shapes and molds the minds of young people, and that's something that's great to look at. And it's great to see our young people engaged in that, to have a healthy outlet, to make sure that they're contributing to our community in a very positive way. And for the young people that are there on that flyer, thank you for being a part of the community in that manner. On April the 12th, we attended a funeral. We said goodbye to retired Assistant Chief Harold Boyer. It was a somber occasion. Like I said before, Chief Boyer was somebody who implemented community policing here in Allentown, and he was also of the community. We recently, just this past month in May, we held an opening for Valenia Park, grand opening. The governor was there. But even more so, Harold Boyer, his presence was there. You could feel it, and it's something that brings that community together. And we thank the family of Harold Boyer, his son Mark, who I worked with for many years. We're here for you guys anytime you need. We're not going to forget Chief Boyer, because he was somebody that was so impactful and broke a lot of barriers within the police department and also in the community. We're never going to approach something where we're an enemy to any of the communities, because we got to work it together. If you kind of picture the Olympic rings and how they're intersected, that's how I view our communities. We might be separate in certain instances, but we tie together and we have crossover, and that's where we come together in those paths of the crossover, because we serve each other to make sure that our community is better. We work with the school district, nonprofits, hospitals, everyone that's out there to make sure that our city is best represented along the way. We had our Citizens Police Academy graduation on April 25th, and that's something that is huge. For those that took part, thank you. Thank you for learning about the police department. I think it's an excellent program that is put on, and stay tuned, because we're going to have more. I'd like to institute a Spanish-speaking Citizens Police Academy, because I know we have many members of our community that only speak Spanish. Yo estoy diciendo que vamos a tener un programa para el ciudadano de policía de academia de aquí en Allentown, porque hay muchas personas que hablan español. Es muy importante que también nuestra comunidad latina está informada para poder decidir qué va a pasar. Y estamos juntos para arreglar los problemas. Y no es un problema si usted no sabe la cosa, pero llama a nosotros, envía un mensaje en el correo electrónico, cosas así, para podemos comunicar. Y también si usted mira a los policías en el calle, habla con ellos, relaciones. Vamos a cambiar lo corazón y el mente para poner el comunidad más adelante, okay? What I said is we're going to work together, and that's going to be the concept message. And as such, we're going to have some upcoming events too. On June 10th, we have Humankind Day at Jordan Park. That's going to be from 12 to 3. And so one of the things with that is, you stop out, take a look at what the community has to offer. I'm not saying you have to be involved, but kind of take a look, right? Take that first step, see what's going on. It's put forth by the different groups. And, you could check out more information on the UNIDO site over there, Humankind Day. And we usually take part in that every year. It's a great event put forth to support our community. So hopefully we'll see you out there. On June 17th, the City of Allentown Juneteenth Celebration Weekend. That's a big, just great event that pays homage to our community. And it's something that celebrates history and what we've all been through. So June 16th, 17th, and 18th. And there's various events that are going on. It's going to take place at Cedar Beach. Make sure that you're out there, check it out, talk to people. And that's how we grow, right? We understand from each other. And that's growth, folks. On June 19th, that's the start of our APD Youth Mentorship Summer Program. We have several young leaders that are going to participate in that, and it's something that is key because we want to ask ourselves, how do we want our future to be? Do we want to be somebody that doesn't get involved, that just kind of sits back and is more apathetic to it? No, I would suggest that we move forward, that we shake that hand of the individual who is coming to learn, to absorb that knowledge. And our youth is vital in making sure that our community grows in a positive way and that they get experience. And in our APD PAL mentorship program, it's not just about, sending the kids to us and having some free time, but make sure that they learn leadership skills, that they be mentored, and that they're giving back to our community, because Allentown has given me so much. I was born and raised here, as you may well know, but it also has given me a lot. And I want to make sure that as I'm growing up in this career, that we're also able to instill within our young people that sense of civic duty, civic pride, and the ability, to make their mark as well, because everybody has something unique to offer. And for those that are doing it, thank you. Thank you for your commitment. Thank you for your dedication. And we're going to keep moving forward on that one. Some of the things that are going to also be happening on June 24th, we have a movie in the park, Stevens Playground at 630 North 6th Street. They're going to be showing the Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. I haven't seen that one yet, so I might stop out there at that point and check it out. And then on August 1st, put this on your calendar. It's a little bit ahead, but we're going to have our National Night Out. It's going to be at Cedar Beach Park. We're going to have a whole bunch of different activities there for both young and old. So stop on out. We have a lot of partners taking part in that, and we're going to make sure that, there's no cost, so it's free, right? And they're going to have game activities, touch a truck, a canine demo, crime prevention tips discussion, live music, and more. And one of the good things about it, it's from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. on August 1st. So mark your calendar, put it in a reminder. Hope to see you out there. That's something that is a good time. Community meetings, they're coming up, this month, and, we're coming up in the end of May here. But I do want to say, if you want to be involved, don't hesitate to come out to one of the community meetings. You can see the list of the meetings there. I'm not going to read them verbatim to you because I don't need to bore you with that. But, if in your neighborhood you're not sure if you have a community meeting, just take a look. You can see where they're at, or stop at one that's nearby and kind of just take it in, and absorb what you're seeing. And if you're interested in forming one or being part of one, I recommend talking to the leadership of the respective community groups and being a part of it. They truly are something special. They give of their time, and they truly understand what it means to, speak from the heart of the community. And that's something that's powerful. And just for the current community groups and the leadership that's in there, thank you. And for the engaged residents that are in there, I appreciate your time and your devotion to making sure that Allentown is a safe and healthy community. And we're going to help in that process by a couple of factors: enforcement, education, changing hearts and minds, folks, because that's what it is. And we want to be able to make sure that that's the way. And I see a couple people said hello here. Just go back up real quick. We have Stevie Bilchar, keep it up. Chief Roca, thank you. I would say the same to our community. Keep it up. Keep engaging with us. Keep having that connection, because that's key, right? And we're going to continue to be there for you. Even if a person doesn't like the police, I'm still going to be there for you. We're going to make sure that, we're going to be part of that team. You're never going to hear about a divided approach with me. And we have Janet Keschel saying hello. Thank you, Janet. I'm glad that you're home now. I hope your day is going well. It was great to see you last week at the lunch appreciation luncheon. Thank you. It was just mind blowing because I felt the love. When you get that, it's like a home cooked meal, right? And when you have that there, it just warms the soul, warms the heart. So thank you for your sincere dedication and support of our department and all its officers. Like I told you before, thank you. And I want to say hello to Glennis Santos Medina saying hello here. Thank you for joining us today. We want our community to know that we're going to be continuing to engage and we're going to grow these initiatives. Our department isn't fully staffed yet, but we're working that hard, and we're going to make sure that the people that come on the department are somebody that you can be proud of and that you can have trust in, right? We're going to make sure that the people that are going to be police officers and are currently police officers are accountable to the law, that are accountable to the policies and procedures of our department. Because one of the things that we want to do is to grow our department safely, securely, and with a dedicated purpose, with a concerted purpose of serving our community. We want to be sure that it's something that happens throughout. And it's also something that, it's not done in a vacuum. It's not done alone. And, I want to highlight something right now. I think part of the things that can help us is crime prevention. And crime prevention is something where, basic definition, you stop something from happening before it occurs. And I wish I could do that for the entirety of crime, but that's not realistic, but we can work towards that goal. And we have Detective Garcia here with us today that I would like him to talk a little about what's happening in the crime prevention world and also how you can take a part in one of our initiatives and also other information. Detective Garcia?
Absolutely, Chief. Thank you so much for having us. This is something that is extremely important. Obviously we want to be proactive in that, knowing that our community knows that we're working on things proactively in crime prevention. So most recently, we're working together with churches, we're working together with organizations, we're working together with schools and doing crime prevention surveys or assessments on their buildings, their security, those type of things. We're working on communicating a lot more and really just working on working with these organizations in a proactive measure. So, I'm visiting the churches, we're visiting the schools and doing assessments on the actual, the buildings and what it looks like. So, God forbid there is an active shooter, we can try to counter that with some crime prevention stuff. And then obviously, our 9 p.m. routine, other initiatives that we're doing, our communication, putting information out there to try to prevent some things, visiting the schools, visiting the senior centers. So we're going to continue to do that, but it's a proactive approach as opposed to reactive. So this unit has been in this department for forever, and there have been many folks that have led the crime prevention teams and really just working on proactive stuff. So we're going to continue to do it. If you are an organization, you are a church, please reach out to the community outreach unit at 610-437-7741 if you want us to come out or have a conversation about the security of your building and those type of things. Again, we are qualified in crime prevention and by environmental design. We go to the trainings and we're able to do these assessments. So going to continue to work, and please follow that 9 p.m. routine. It's working. We're going to continue to do it. Share it with your family and friends, and thank you for joining us today. Thank you.
Thank you, Detective Garcia. I also want to mention that the city is also engaged in improving the transparency. And I'm sure you have seen the City Hall at the Table events that are held. And on June 22nd at Deriff High School at 6 p.m., they're going to have one there as well, City Hall at the Table. And it's your time kind of to talk about, what's going on. Departments no longer work in silos. We want to kind of be working together so that we can meet all the issues that are facing our community, because what affects public works affects public safety and vice versa. So everything is interrelated, public health as well. And the issues, if we improve our city from that type of standpoint, it's going to pay dividends in the future. And part of this is not just about the development of everything. It's about also cultivating a sense of mutual respect amongst our community. Now, you don't have to be friends with everybody, right? But we have to respect each other, follow the law, and make sure that we're listening to what's going on out there, and you stay informed. And that's the best way that we can go at things. And on a parting thought, I just want to say thank you to our community for taking the time, to reach out to us and to show appreciation. And for those that don't care for police, I also welcome a dialogue with you and say, thank you for some of the thoughts that you have had, because it's important that we grow, right? We don't live in a bubble. We don't live with just our blinders on. We want to understand what's going on out there. And part of that is through growth, is through communication. We're not going to agree on everything, but, we'll be able to put forth in what's the best interest for all involved. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I want to say thank you. Thank you for taking the time to be with us today, and know that the Allentown Police Department is here to serve with honor and distinction. Have a great day.